Okay, so here we are at 1234 the year. Let me see if I got a better picture. There we go. And 1234, a large mountain in Burgundy split asunder and killed some 5,000 people by knocking them down and smothering them. After this, it toppled over the other mountains and into the valleys, whereby livestock and more people died. More comments. 1293, a notably large comet appeared for 3 months, rising in the east and climbing to the middle of the sky, with its rays in the west. And when the Pope Urban died, it disappeared again. Interesting. And in the year 1293, a wondrous pilgrimage commenced, not only in Italy but also in other countries, with more than 20,000 children being marked with crosses and led astray through trickery, so that they went in droves to the ports of sea, just as one might have walked into Regensburg in those days. In the year 1798, small crosses appeared on people's clothing, and in Italy, ash fell from the sky upon the earth, which took the lives of many people. Really terrible to see. 1300s. And check out this star pattern coming off this comet. I mean, we just recently had something like that recorded. I think it was on WSO's channel. 1300 AD, a fearful comet appeared in the sky, and this year, on St. Andrew's Day, the ground was shaken by an earthquake so that many buildings collapsed. At this time, the first Jubilee year was established by Pope Boniface the 8th. Oh, and here we go. 3 suns in the sky and a comet. 1304. Oh, I'm sorry. 3 moons and a comet appeared, seen around midnight for 3 months. In Germany, in the German lands, and in Italy, just as it was painted here. So 3 moons and a comet appeared around midnight for 3 months. Is that bizarre or what? Looks like we have a hailstorm, buildings toppling, the mountains falling. 1832, large stones fell in Gaul. They killed livestock, and these hailstones were found. In the hailstones were found wonderful hard grains, somewhat oblong in shape, and an earthquake struck in Italy so that the towns and mountains collapsed, as painted here. Looks like the moon and a comet. Excuse me. In 1438, time of King Albrecht, Duke of Austria and son-in-law of Emperor Sigismund, a great darkening of the sun was seen in the daytime, and also a great comet with a tail was seen in the city of Liege. This was followed by great bloodshed. So it appears these comets also seem to bring war. Year 1347, a comet appeared in Italy for 2 months. And, sorry, I didn't get, oh, there it is. After the Emperor Louis, I don't know, a Bavarian monarch died. Okay, well, it appears to be locusts. 1348, the first year of the reign of the Emperor Charles VI, a great vapor moved densely and hideously in the clouds so that the earth was darkened. At that moment, a great number of worms and vermin fell upon the earth in the east, so many that people died from the stench, and hardly 10 were left alive out of 1,000. Wow. Yeah, we've had bugs, a lot of weird, strange bugs lately. Wasn't it just last year that Iraq or Iran had locusts flying around eating everything? 1351. In the month of December, a comet was seen in the sky around midnight. Afterwards, heavy winds sprang up, and a fiery shaft was seen to fall from the sky, which then presaged a great disagreement between the Pope and the Emperor. Those evil popes. 1360, there was such a great darkening of the sun that in the full light of daytime it was night and completely dark. And at this time, Pope Innocent died. Yeah, those popes, they're never innocent. More like pedophiles, child molesters. 1362. Duke of Saxony, a stone large and wonderful fell from the sky during heavy wind and rain, and upon many people small blood red crosses appeared, and there was a great darkness upon the sun. More blood rain. It rained blood near the city of Brixton for 3 days and nights, as painted here. In the year 1864, countless locusts with wings and 2 teeth, harder than a stone, flew about everywhere in Gaul and covered the ground like snow, and afterwards flew into the sea all at once and drowned there. Afterwards, the sea washed the vermin ashore, and it caused a great stench, so that many people died from the stench. 1401, a large comet with a peacock tail appeared in the sky over Germany. This was followed by a most severe plague in Swabia. In the year 1418, the lake near Murano overflowed its shores and swept away the city of Murano and the hospital on its near side, along with the church, the priest at the altar, and all the people in the church, and a child was floating off in a cradle along with a cat. It was rescued in Bozen. Apart from this, some 400 people died, probably more rather than fewer. 1438. The sun was seen to be sweating blood for several days. This was followed by sudden deaths in Venice and other places. Excuse me. Yeah, that Italy's getting hammered back then, huh? 1448. On the first day of September, at the 6th hour before midday, a darkening of the sun, just as painted here, was seen. This was followed by great outbreaks of war, bloodshed, murder, looting, and tyranny in England, France, Spain, and Flanders. Apulia in Italy and Germany. Great misfortune also befell the Greeks at the hands of the Turks. Looks like 2 comments. 1456, in the month of June, a comet appeared, and within a year of that, yet a bigger one, which looked really terrible and was seen in Germany, just as painted here. This is scary because blood and flesh falls from the sky. It rained real blood in Rome in 1456, and in the region of Liguria it rained flesh, which at the time was wondrous, and even as it is painted here. The year 1456, on the 6th day and on the 13th day of on the 6th and on the 13th day of December, there was such a terrible earthquake during the night in Naples, Benevent, and other cities. The like had never been experienced within living memory, to the extent that so many churches and great places collapsed, in which many people and large numbers of livestock met their deaths, perished and died, just as painted here. So the picture and then its interpretation follows thereafter. Okay, you guys? High mountain rich in oil and wine of Vesuvius in Campania, situated 4,000 paces from the city of Naples, burst open at its summit or peak and threw out such fires that cities and villages and all the trees were burned up. Also, a poet called Pliny the Elder wanted to see the fire, but the fire consumed him also. Volcanoes. We've had a lot of volcanoes erupting within the last couple of years. Let's not forget the recent Hawaii eruption. In the year 1483, locusts swarmed in Italy, laid waste to the district around Brexin, and had not prevented it, they would have destroyed all the crops in Lombardy. He had them killed, burned, or chased away. Afterwards, a darkening of the sun was seen, and then came a great dying, so that more than 20,000 people died in Brexin, and around 30,000 died in Venice. Dang. Strange animals were born thereafter. In the year 1495, in the month of June, 2 pigs were born of 2 sow near the Rhine, and it was recorded. And here's this weird beast that was found dead on the beach after the Tiber River burst its banks. In the month of January in 1496, at the time where the Tiber burst its banks high and wide near Rome, what wondrous creature appeared, found dead where the raging and the might of the Tiber's waters had subsided, and was in the shape and form as it was painted here. More comments. 1506, a comet appeared for several nights and turned its tail toward Spain. In this year, a lot of fruit grew and was completely destroyed by caterpillars or rats. This was followed 8 and 9 years later in this country and in Italy by an earthquake so great and violent that in Constantinople a great many buildings were knocked down and people perished. 1513. Deformed babies. It was told that this was born to be, I can't even pronounce that, issuing dead from its mother's womb, then to be buried, and 4 hours later dug up again by Anton himself. At the time, the Countess of Ludron's steward unwrapped from its shroud and examined very carefully in the presence of a priest. Afterwards, the painter Hans Bergenbar was commissioned to record it in detail as it appears above. Let's go back and look at that real quick. Wow. There's two complete beings there. 4 arms. 1, 2, 3, 6 legs. Wow. 6 legs. (1513). In the year 1513, this manifestation was seen a quarter of a mile from Altenburg in broad daylight at noon. 1516, in the country of the Romans, a mare gave birth to a hare, a rabbit, instead of a young foal. In the year 1516, an extremely small horse was born in Weffenbrew, I can't even pronounce that, all white like a lamb, and was presented to Emperor Maximilian of glorious remembrance. That's bizarre looking. Lots of stars. In the year 1518, this star with such a diversely changing shape was seen on St. Andrew's Eve, November 29th, in Wimere over the Grove. So it was a star changing shape, shifting through the sky. Oh my goodness, where have we seen that before? 1519. Seen in the year 1519 on the 11th of January, the day before the demise of Emperor Maximilian of glorious remembrance. So these are all some pretty familiar looking kind of sky anomalies, wouldn't you guys agree? Pretty strange. This comet was seen over the city of Mainz for 2 whole days, so positioned in relation to the Rhine that the star pointed upstream and the cross downstream. 1520. In 1520, on the 5th day of the month of January, 3 suns were seen in Vienna in the morning at sunrise. These are known as parafog. Okie dokie. 1520. Look, shaft, halos. 1520, the 4th of January, this sign was seen in Vienna for 3 hours until 5 after midday. It's also called halo and is like the moon. Afterwards, after midnight at 1 o'clock or later, this sign was seen. In the year 1520, on the 6th day in the month of January, around 8 o'clock in the evening, in the city of Vienna, this sign was seen around the glow of the moon. 1520 again. 27th day of January, 3 suns, which were called perihelios, were seen in Vienna and Austria from sunrise until 10 or a little later. Isn't that curious? And yet we're seeing these same things going on right now. In the year 1520, on the 6th day of January, this sign around the sun, which is called Halo Maximus, was seen in Vienna at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Check it. More vermin. In the year 1527, a terrible wind from Turkey carried great hordes of locusts into the kingdom of Poland, which then caused great harm to the people and the livestock. The locusts were gray and golden color, just as painted here. Comet with an arm and a sword. 1527, on the 11th of October at 4 o'clock in the morning, this comet was seen in Ristrich for 5/4 of an hour, and then it disappeared again. It was extremely long and yellowish red, like diluted blood in color. At the front, the head was like a bent arm, as if it had a sword in its hand and was poised to start striking with it. And at that point of the sword, there were 3 big stars, and from the stars there issued a cloud-colored stream, which was longer than the comet's tail, just as painted here. Let's take a look at that again. Yeah, comet, arm, sword, and 3 comets following it. Very strange. 1527, several streaks like long spears were seen next to the sun, next to the comet, with several faces and small swords in amongst them, all intermingled in a pale red color. Behind them could be seen several large flames that blazed very brightly and with a fiery light. And the faces with hair and beards the color of gray clouds were seen here, and to be flickering through each other as if they were lying in the water that was flowing in the rivulets of blood, and as if everything was mixing up together, which looked so terrifying that many who saw it died. Wow. So it just scared them to death. That almost looks familiar. 1527, on the 17th day of February, 3 suns were seen in the Kaufrubrunn, enclosed within 2 rainbows in the sky adjacent to the mountains, and 2 outer suns were red on the sides facing the sun in the middle and yellow on the sides facing the rainbow, and a white streak went through the middle, and the shining of the inner rainbow was also yellow, that no one could see into it because of its brightness. Oh my God, we've seen that. That's happening right now. We're catching people getting that right now. And this happened back in 1528 on the 16th day of May, between the 11th and the 12th hour after midday. This formation was seen in the sky in Augsburg on the sun or around the sun, and stayed for about 1 hour. Yeah, very strange halos here. It looks like even the moon's here. This was in 1528, 16th day of May. Such rainbows were seen in Innsbruck, appearing here and there, while at the same time 3 suns were to be seen, and a moon as half beside them, as painted here. In the year 1530, on the 5th day of November, there was such a great storm in Flanders and in Zeeland that more than half the city of Visselingen, where the huge ships arrived, were carried away, and the entire district was completely submerged. Also, many people fled up into the trees and mountains, and there could not help but die of hunger, which was more terrible to behold than I can write about. 4 comets. 1531, 4 comets appeared in the sky in opposite sides of one another, such that they could be seen in certain places in the Netherlands, just as painted here. In the year 1531, a wondrous creature which was all gray and hairy, with the head of a bearded man and 4 feet with sharp claws, was caught by the bishop's huntsman in the forest of Salzburg. It was taken to the court, but it would neither eat nor drink and suffered quite horribly. Bigfoots. Was that a Bigfoots? 1533, flying dragons. In October, flying dragons were seen in Bohemia and the Vogtland, as well as in a small area of Asker, the Czech Republic. A crest on their heads, a snout like a pig, and 2 wings. This went on for several days, with over 400 of them, both big and small, flying together, as painted here. Whoa. Flying dragons. Where have we heard about that before? Geez, that's in like every ancient Chinese script ever, right? In the year 1533, the 7th of July, or the 27th of July, at 2 o'clock after midnight, a terrible comet appeared and was also seen for many days after this, which the astronomers interpreted when unrest later broke out in Germany. Oh. And more dragons. 1533, after the birth of Christ, on the Friday after Saint Ursula, the 24th day, such wondrous dragons were seen in the air for nigh on 2 hours, around 10 o'clock at night, in several places near Hispelstein, and at the Hoffin's house there. 3 suns and fiery clouds. 3 suns shone at the same time, as if they had fiery clouds around them, and they stayed over the city of Munster as if the city and the houses were burning, as painted here. Multi-headed dragon beast. 1534, one of the wonderful creatures which live in the open sea was caught and taken to Venice, and it looks just as it was painted here. Wow. So I guess all those sea stories could be true. And yeah, this was the first part of my first video on the Book of Miracles. You've seen it, and we've seen it happening like in January. The same phenomena. Such a manifestation in 1538 was seen around the sun near Schofield, and moreover 3 suns were seen at once. But also the curious rings stayed in the sky brightly for about 4 hours. More stuff falling from the sky. Oh, no. Hopefully that wasn't out of focus for too long. 1538, flies as big as gnats were seen in Castel St. Angelo in Rome, so that the Pope had to flee them, and whoever they bit died, and a storm broke out at the same time too, and fire fell from the sky. More weirdness. 1540, strange miraculous signs were seen at Reichstag in Worms. On the 28th of November, the moon was dark at night, and inside it was a star. And on the 27th of November, signs such as these were seen on the stars. Wow. 1541, 28th day of March, 3 suns seen in a triangle with a rainbow around them were seen in Augsburg. The rainbow was seen first, and then last. 2 of the suns disappeared along with the rainbow, and the sun on the right remained. 1542, locusts invade Poland. Afterwards, a great many people died on account of the stench. 1542, comet was seen in the sky not far from the moon for many days, just as painted here. 1542, a fire was seen in the sky in Augsburg, burning like a great brazier in the clouds at midnight, which many trustworthy people saw for a long time. Weird deformations of animals. 1543, a 4-legged chicken hatched out in Dillingen and then suddenly died, but it was nonetheless carefully painted here from life by the bishop's painter. 1543, such a wondrous fish was caught in the Danish Sea as painted here, and it was brought back alive to the city of Copenhagen. Let's look at that. It had a human head. Or a human-looking head, I should say. More comments. 1543, terrible comet was seen in the sky over Forsenheim and in the village of, can't pronounce it, with many fiery flames falling from it. And after this was followed some very strange. After this, there followed some very strange things. Yeah, I bet. Darkening of the moon at night so that the moon looked all bloody and lasted some 6 hours and several minutes. 1544, darkening of the sun was seen. Augsburg, surrounding parts, which started in the morning at 8 and lasted till 11 o'clock. And it was so dark that nothing could be seen anymore. and in the west there was a star, and it says which. It doesn't say anymore after that. And this was actually seen in the clouds in the year 1445, the 29th day of March, on Palm Sunday. A terrible ghastly vision was seen in the kingdom of Poland. At 8 o'clock in the morning, a great peal of thunder struck. After this, 3 red crosses were seen in the east, and in the middle of which a man in armor and with a fiery sword. A great band of warriors came toward him on horseback and on foot, and they fought until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But he defeated them and retained his place between the 3 crosses. Then a great dragon appeared and devoured the man. Wow. Oh my goodness. Angel on rainbows. And on a previously mentioned day, there came a terrible